Heroes of the Dorm started actually the first year that Heroes of the Storm was released. We wanted to come up with something that was really cool and a really cool way to celebrate the game that spotlighted one of the coolest elements of the community that we thought was the collegiate community. All of these students are just so eager to play and build these communities that essentially bring esports to life in their local area. So we started brainstorming and one thing led to another, and we hosted Heroes of the Dorm for the first time.
One of the things that we've learned about the collegiate space is that in college is when you develop habits that last the rest of your life. Things that you find that you like, your hobbies, your friends, those are usually the friends that you keep forever, not the ones in high school. The habits, the activities you join there, those aren't the ones that stick, it's college. College is the place to where you get your friends and you guys do activities together. So if we're able to hit people on our college campuses that are trying to grow and grab and get their friends to play, that right there is success. It's an acquisition tool. Most esports are used as a retention tool to, provide that level of service for your most engaged fans as well as your competitors. But for collegiate and for Heroes of the Dorm, there's different goals than your normal esports programs.
We look at reach, we look at non-endemic brands and outlets that are talking about Heroes of the Dorm and looking at esports because of that. We look at engagement, we look at the number of people who are filling out our fantasy brackets, and we look at the number of people who are tweeting and talking about the event and picking sides. One of the things that we're trying to do right now within the college space is to develop an industry that's self-sufficient, right? Where we want to start getting universities involved. We want to start creating this support structure where teams can be scholarshiped and teams can play. And if we are ourselves not hosting this competition, that it's still super vibrant and awesome and long-lasting where it stands on its own. What are we doing to make this scene more self-sufficient and more powerful than it was last year and the year before?
Partnering up with Facebook felt like a really good opportunity for Heroes of the Dorm because if there was ever a program to be experimental with, it would definitely be our Collegiate Heroes of the Dorm program. And one of the things that we're being able to learn is that Facebook does give us that ability to reach users, especially across the world, that we wouldn't have been able to do before. We're seeing engagement levels rise across all of our pick'em challenges, our bracket challenges, and so we are successful in being able to reach out to those people and engage with them. Similar to kind of March Madness. I don't watch basketball. I've never watched a college basketball game in my life, but I've made a bracket every single year. And that's what it's all about. It's about that fun, getting somebody to think about and talk about something that they normally don't.
So last year, after Arizona State won the competition, winning full college tuition, their university really took a note and said, wow, this is really cool. We want to support you. So they took the team, they played clips of their winning, they honored them, they made them team jerseys, and then afterwards they all got housing scholarships so that they could continue to play, not only not having to worry about tuition, but not having to worry about any of the other bills that go along with it.
Before Heroes of the Dorm, my parents were very against video games. I feel like most parents are. Like, understandably, you don't really want your kid wasting, like, quote unquote wasting time. I feel like that's how a lot of people look at it and how my parents used to look at it. And they really have flipped that coin where it's not, you're wasting your time, you're wasting your potential, like, why are you doing this? It's become, we support you. We're passionate about what you're passionate. I don't really know what's happening, but I'm gonna sit there and cheer and watch all your matches. And that's been a really cool thing for me, to just see them evolve and accept something that I've always been so passionate about and them make it a passion for themselves.
One of the interesting things with college esports is that with college esports, you have these teams that are competing against each other that are household names essentially, right? You have Kentucky versus LSU. And for a lot of people, they might give it a chance because they have some sort of affiliation with LSU or with Kentucky or with ASU or whatever the teams are, right? If I tune into Twitch and I watch the LCS broadcast, I might not know any of the teams, but I probably have some sort of affiliation with colleges. And we think that by generating a lot of interest and a lot of promotion and a lot of buzz around an event like this, we can get people who otherwise weren't talking about esports or weren't knowing about esports to take a look and say, oh wow, actually what's going on here is pretty cool. And I think that has rippling effects throughout the industry, because you have these more mainstream audiences and mainstream outlets who had before rejected esports as a whole, saying, wow, I think I get it a little bit more now, I'm going to pay a little bit of closer attention.
Year over year, we're seeing increased college engagement on the university level throughout Tespa and throughout Heroes of the Dorm. We even have some of the university people here at the event watching and cheering on their team. So it's cool to see people starting to embrace it and starting to accept it. And to quote the guys on the UCI team, they think that them winning is actually going to bring more universities to support their players because of the recognition that they get at these big events like this, and also the prestige of their team going out and bringing that back home.
Winning something like Heroes of the Dorm would be kind of a spotlight on the UCI Esports program, which can always attract more talent. I know that for some people, for example, they'll actually offer help with admissions, like you would see for, if someone was going to be a football player at a school. So I think that winning Heroes of the Dorm would kind of shine a spotlight and bring qualified applicants in. And then I think it would also just be a good motivator for the team practicing at UCI next year to be like, hey, we can do this. We did this last year. And if they did manage to win, that'd be quite a legacy. So I'm sure that UCI Esports will be pushing for it to happen.
I see in the future collegiate esports being the dominant form of entertainment on college campuses. It's not something that's going to happen overnight, and it's not something where light, or switch is going to be flipped and we're going to say, wow, ta-da, we did it. But I think if we look back over the past few years and we see where the trends are pointing, I think that we will definitely see esports being one of the most accepted and celebrated activities on campus. I think we're going to see universities supporting teams in every way that they can. I think we're going to see communities rising up and doing even more than they are now to support their teams.
I had never really followed collegiate esports very much before I joined the team here at Blizzard, and coming into Heroes of the Dorm, I came into it a little bit blind last year. What I walked away with was like one of the most magical esports experiences that I've ever seen. It just had this really unique feeling to where it felt more emotional and raw. The professional players, they're competing every weekend. For them, getting on a big stage and throwing down is just like that's their job, right? But for these guys, you could see that this was something that they'll never maybe experience again, or the fact that they just had this huge burden of college lifted off of their shoulders, because most of the people for Heroes of the Dorm, this is their first big tournament. This is their first time on a stage. And being able to see that raw emotion, it feels good. Heroes of the Dorm has a really unique feel to it.
Heroes of the Dorm has always been a bit of a pioneer in the collegiate esports landscape. I would even say for esports at large. I think it's a really special event, not only for the students who are participating and have a chance of winning free tuition for their college careers, but also for everybody else who's looking in on the high level competition and the storylines that are just so pervasive in the collegiate community.